when I interview, I say this to everyone. I says, if you could sum your career up in one word, how would you describe it?
Oh God, yeah, you really put me on the spot here. For myself, I would say I was surprised or grateful because I feel like I'm really happy with everything I've done. It's not to say I'm not ambitious. There's a lot more that I would like to and plan to do. But when I first started training, I never thought I'd get even half of this far. So I guess one of those two would probably do for me.
What about a tag as a tag team?
As a tag team, fun. It's definitely fun. Like there was never a dull day at the office as a tag team. So yeah.
Absolutely. So, try. Obviously, we're on Thursday, mate. How's the week been?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I've started a new day job. I'm busy. Last week was insane. I did 3 wrestling shows, started a new job, 2 wrestling sessions, 5 gym sessions. So yeah, it's always there's never a dull day with me. It's just constant go. I have one speed and that's full, and so we keep going.
Did you ever get time to yourself? And if you're constantly juggling all that,
Not a lot, to be honest with you. Christmas was nice, actually. This is the first Christmas I've had in for a few years now where I wasn't kind of wrestling just over the Christmas and New Year period. So I've had a little bit of time off, but we've come straight back in with 2 feet, to be honest, and I'm busier than ever been, really.
there you go. So yeah, as I said, mate, we're obviously talking about your career. So let's obviously start at the beginning, man. I mean, how did it all begin?
Yeah, so I started wrestling in 20. So I debuted in the August of 2018, and I started training in August of 2017. So it took me a year to debut. And so like I've loved wrestling all my life. I didn't even really know there was like a scene in Britain. We did go and watch with my uni mates. We had a few beers and went to watch NGW back in Hull. But that was like my only exposure to British wrestling. But I just happened to work the same day job as Ashton Smith. And we got talking about wrestling, and he recommended that I went down to FutureShock. Um, Beginners class was where I met my tag partner Anderson Daniels, and we just instantly, it's like that scene in Step Brothers of did we just become best friends, and we formed the tag team from there. So I never anticipated that I would be in a tag team to start with, but yeah, it just kind of carried on from there, to be honest with you. But yeah, I just happened to have the same day job as Ashton Smith. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be a wrestler.
Now you mentioned Future Shock a lot. What was that first training session like?
So, for a first training session, so I've come from a very sort of sports and training background. I played American football for years. I competed at powerlifting, strongman, and stuff like that. So, like, the physical side of it kind of didn't bother me too much. But there's a few things where I was like, I remember taking my first bump. But I'm like quite a literal person. So when someone's sort of saying to you like, oh, you just do this, I'm like, oh, okay then. And I just remember taking my first bump, and it just all the air just like left my body, and I just threw myself at the mat as hard as I could. So it wasn't like that I kind of bottled doing it. I think that was never been my issue of like, I will approach things sort of, full speed and stuff like that. It's just I just didn't do it very well. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Like just like I think when you've been doing it for so long, you forget how cool that like the first time you touch a wrestling ring is, or the first time that you're like, I'm just running the ropes or like entering and exiting a ring, like just to, if you are a fan that has never done that before, like that is like the coolest thing. But now, do you know what I mean? Like you just take it for granted, don't you, and stuff. But I just remember thinking like being in line to get into the ring and do like 2 forward rolls. I was just like, this is just the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. So, but yeah, no, I loved it. Like the trading side of things is, yeah, I still love it, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. So it says on Cage Match, one of your trainers is Alexander Cooper. Is that right?
Yeah, so that was when I first started. Not gonna lie, not the best of people. I credit most of, if not all, my training to Sam Bailey at Future Shock. So yeah, that was a long time ago, and that's where I got my start at Future Shock. But yeah, I've been training with Sam. I've been training with Chris Ridgway. We've got a really good setup there and stuff. So, but yeah, I probably don't want to talk about him too much, to be honest with you. And like I say, got all the time in the world for all the guys at Future Shock now.
Okay, that's fine. And obviously, you mentioned Sam there and stuff like that. I mean, what's some of the things obviously he's taught you?
Yeah, sure. So I feel like when I got my start, I was very well drilled in like the fundamentals. So I think like like my footwork was good, and and I could do the moves and stuff like that. But I feel where Sam's really helped me is like a lot of my coaching when I first started was it's like, oh, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that. And I feel like I was like fundamentally kind of sound as a wrestler, but I didn't really have a lot more to me other than like, oh, he's quite a big guy sort of thing. Whereas Sam really, really helped bring the character out of me and personality out of me. But B is like, if everyone's doing drop kicks or hurricane ranas and stuff like that, you'd never be, oh, you don't need to do that sort of thing. So like being able to do these more athletic things that I've always been physically capable. I've just never had the opportunity to do. Sam's always been very encouraging to do that, but then also is encouraging to sort of make me smart enough to know when to kind of pull that out. So like, I don't know if you saw like last Monday, I did like a super Frankensteiner wrestling
Hmm.
Brady Phillips, and everyone's just got mad about that. Like, oh, that's insane. And it's like, yeah, cool, because I don't do it every week. Do you know what I mean? Like, we were talking about it before, and I was like, I think I've still got this in me. I think it's been 3 years since I've done one of those, but that's what I mean is like, I feel like Sam, like, just I was fundamentally sound, but probably a bit boring. And he really kind of took me to the next level. With that, whether that's moves, whether that's personality, or even just my mentality around wrestling and how I approach matches, what I want to get out of them and stuff. So yeah, honestly, can't say enough good stuff about Sam.
What about Chris? Because that's someone who I'm a massive fan of.
Yeah, so for my money, Chris Ridgway's got the best brain in professional wrestling. So I've done a few with him more recently as well, and obviously since Anderson's had to retire as well, I was like, oh, I need to like kind of find out who I am a little bit. So I booked some like just sessions. A couple of lads came down, but with Chris specifically, and it's weird because he's not like my he doesn't wrestle my style at all. In fact, we couldn't be more kind of polar opposite, really. But even something that isn't what he does in the ring, his approach, his brain is really good. And I think the thing about Chris's sessions as well is you're always there to kind of work hard. So like there's a real good sort of team mentality there of like, we'll all do a bit of fitness at the start. We'll do the warm-ups, and it's that like sort of friendly competition as well. I feel like everybody really wants to be there. Everybody really wants to try hard and apply themselves. And what you put in, Chris will give you back as well. So, but yeah, his mindset, his mentality, his wrestling brain, it's just like stuff that I've not even thought about, like cherries on top of cakes where I'm still worried about the mixture, So but yeah, both of them, honestly, the training setup there is fantastic, and yeah, both great guys.
Absolutely. You've got to tell me how the name Meat Wagon come about, please.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. So for years, so we were like a heel tag team. We were called Synergy for years, and we were like, it just wasn't us, And it's like, and most when we started being baby faces in most places because we were, I've always thought we were quite like a fun, accessible tag team for fans. It's like, and I'm a big believer of like you know, if you close your eyes and say like, right, cool, there's a tag team that's about to walk out. It's called Synergy, and then we walk out. You're like, wasn't really what I was expecting. But if you're like, right, there's a tag team that's about to walk out that are called the Meat Wagon. You're like, right, okay, cool, this makes sense, And so it was something where we were like, it was almost like a moniker for a while. But then when we went up to ICW, the first time we met Mark Dallas, what a great bloke he is. He was so funny as he comes up, and our announcement got quite a lot of buzz on Twitter. Actually, a lot of people were talking about it, and we've gone up, and he was like, "Oh, so you two are the boys, are you? The big lads? All right." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's us, right?" And he was like, "Oh, well, yeah, the name, hate it, Synergy, shit, awful." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." He was like, "But this meat wagon stuff. Oh, everyone calling you meat wagon." He's like, "Can we call you that?" And I'm like, if you keep bringing us back, you can call us whatever you want, mate, to be honest with you. But it just kind of stuck, and it was, and it just, like I say, it was more fun. It's very much more what we are as wrestlers and stuff like that. And so yeah, that's kind of how the name came about, really.
Did you think it'd obviously like be so popular like it is?
So we were. I always remember the first match that we changed our name. We sort of transitioned over, and like we were behind the curtain, and we were like, "What if this is a bad idea? What if this is a bad idea?" And then the Tron comes up, and it's like all aboard the meat wagon. And before we even walked through the curtain, the crowd are just going meat, 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 meat. And I was like, nailed it. Should have done this years ago, to be honest, mate. So yeah, there was that one moment where we were like, have we balled this up? And then as soon as that we heard the crowd, we were like, absolutely not, and we should have done this years ago.
That's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. So a lot of your work I've seen is obviously from the LWF. How did that
Yeah.
obviously all begin?
Sure. So there was, so I debuted at LWF in 2018. And yeah, so it was originally, it was like a crossover show of like our training academy with the LWF training academy. It was like a sort of academy wars type situation, like Survivor Series type thing. Oh, more like the Invasion pay-per-view. So it was like a point scoring type system. So that's how I got on there, and I must have done a decent job because yeah, I was invited back. So yeah, that's how that came about.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. So, obviously, we posted on Twitter, Instagram, some fan questions. So let's knock these out, shall we? So, first one
Absolutely.
comes from Kong_FSW. It says, "Are you scared about the next time you'll see me?"
So yeah, well, Kong. So I will say credit where it's due. Kong has left me laying a couple of times now, but I will say he's left me laying when my back's been turned to him twice. So I am not scared of the next time I meet Kong. I very much like to meet him face to face because I don't think that the outcome is going to be the outcome that he thinks it's going to be. So yeah, the sooner that I can get in a wrestling ring with Kong, the better.
There you go. Pretty but Deadly says, "What's a fan interaction that means a lot to you?"
Yeah, so do you know what? It's a little bit bittersweet, this one. So for the last match that we'd ever done together, obviously before our lad's injury. So for that match, there's a family that come to True Grit. And they're lovely. They're absolutely lovely. So Paul, who's dad, he's actually had a match at True Grit before with Nathan Black, which was brilliant. It was really, really good. But his kids love coming to watching True Grit, and they're big fans of us, which is really nice. And they came dressed as us, so they had like little muscle suits on. They'd made our gear and stuff like that, and I was like, wow, like you forget how cool these kind of things are. When you do a lot of shows and stuff like that. Like it's sometimes nice to um, kind of take a little bit of a step back and look at yeah, do you know what I mean? Like how much this actually means to people. So seeing
Mhm.
these two little kids dressed as us was fantastic. It was really cool. We got them involved in the match as well, picking them up and biffing the regime with them. And yeah, we got For the Love of Wrestling in a couple of weeks, and I've been told that there's a cosplay entrance competition, and they're gonna do Meat Wagon, the kids. So like, yeah, I guess like at the end of the day, when it comes to wrestling, that's what it's all about. But yeah, they're a wonderful family, and that was really quite sweet and humbling. It's just a shame that it had to be in that match, but yeah, that was great.
Lunatic Louise says, "Favorite opponent you've had?"
Oh, that's a tough one. So there's all right, okay, I'll caveat this with a couple of things. So as a team and then sort of by myself, I think there's a couple of different answers. So as a team, we've had some like fantastic high profile matches. So, getting to work like Breezango was very cool. Grizzled Young Vets were fantastic as well. Like that was I wish we could have done that one more time. But that was brilliant. I think the teams that we've always had the best sort of chemistry with, really. So we had a series of matches with Forbidden Planet at FutureShock that were great. Some of my favorite matches. The models, Danny Hope and Joey Hayes. Can't say enough about them. They were fundamental in our sort of understanding of tag team wrestling and us sort of kicking on. Act Two, another great team, and Reese and Rogan as well. Like they're outside of the ring, they're two of my best mates as well. So we've always worked really well with them. I think by myself, another one of the most underrated guys I think in British wrestling is Dan Evans. Like I've wrestled Dan more than anyone, and he can work any style. We literally do the camp shows together in the summer. And I've also seen him do a death match. So, like he could do everything in between. I don't think we'd even need to speak to get in the ring. now. So that Dan's really good. Scott Oberman is another one as well. I think like when I wrestled him in the main event at Atomic, that was like a kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Because I've always seen myself as like half a tag team. And then I wrestled Oberman in the main event at Atomic. It was really good. It was really well received. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe I can do this by myself, you know. So that was like a bit of a sort of seminal moment for me. And Oberman he's fantastic to work with. And then one more recently, I think as well, was Brady Phillips. Who I wrestled last week at Catch. That was good because I think Brady and I have a similar style. We're both bigger guys, but like athletic and kind of like to go for it and stuff. And that was another quite well received match. Oh God, sorry, I've just like there's people just coming into my head as well. Rampage Brown is my answer actually. So yeah, all those guys are great, but scratch that. Rampage Brown he's the absolute man. And that was my debut at Win.
I was there.
Oh, you were, of course you were, yeah. But he was very cool. He was really, really cool, and he's someone that I've looked up to for a long time. So getting to wrestle him was great, and yeah, hopefully you get a chance to do that again. But yeah, there's a lot of good guys out there. I can't really pick. If I had to pick one, then it would probably be Rampage Brown. But again, there's lots more I could mention as well there.
Absolutely. You mentioned Brady Phillips, and I ask a lot of people this: is Brady Phillips underrated in your opinion?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think like Brady is like you've grown a wrestler in a lab. Like there's nothing he can't do. You know, he's huge. Like I even had like because like I'm like a big guy, right? And I've recently like I've cut quite a lot of weight. I've got quite lean. But it's the first time I've had a fan go, wow, Brady made you look small. I was like, God. I was like, didn't need that, you know, but no, he's surprisingly big. He's scary strong. I don't know if you've seen like he still does that jump up to the top rope, you know, and but again, like he's another one with a really good brain for it. I think we've got quite a similar you know, sort of approach, mentality to wrestling and stuff like that. Of you know, putting something together with him was actually pretty easy. But yeah, I think Brady is, you know, like if he was on a video game, he'd have some maxed out stats. I think with Brady, I think he's top tier.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the injury to your tag partner and stuff like that. What do you
Yeah.
remember, obviously, about that injury and stuff like that? Obviously, at the show.
Yeah, so like, I mean, it was kind of like a bit of a blur really. So like how it kind of happened is like, so we were setting up to do our finish. So I actually had my back to the ladder. So he was kind of like up, not at the very top of the ladder, but sort of like, you know, kind of past halfway. And it's just, he was pulled off the ladder and it's just how he's landed on his leg, just like the sort of distribution of the weight. And then there's just that moment where I kind of turn around and I see it and I'm like, oh my God. And then, you know, someone kind of takes me out and then they're like, oh, he's snapped his leg. And I was like, oh shit, you know. So then but I see like what I will say is there's no good place for that to happen, you know. But there are bad places for that to happen, you know. And True Grit, they, you know, the way they dealt with it, and JC as a promoter and stuff, like it's an awful thing to say, but if it's going to happen somewhere, I'm glad it was there rather than some carny show somewhere else, you know. Like it was dealt with very well, you know. They got into the back really quickly, and then I kind of look and I'm like, and I see that he's surrounded by people, and I'm like, I just don't know what to do. So, you know, I actually went back out and finished the match because I was like, I know I'm involved in the finish, and I know he's got people that are sort of professional around him and stuff. But yeah, it was just weird. Like it was just awful. Like I say, it's the worst thing I've ever seen in person, and it happened to my best friend. So it's just horrible, to be honest. There's no like positive spin on that, you know. Like aside from the fact that he's ahead of schedule on his recovery, you know, we're going to the gym together a lot. Obviously, I speak to him every day and stuff, and you know, like he's got a wife, he's got a child, he's got a wonderful family and stuff, and there is much more important things out there than wrestling. And I'm just glad he's happy and he's, you know, on the road to getting better.
Absolutely. And it leads me over to my next point is the referees. I mean, how important they are when it comes to matches.
Yeah, 100%. So so Scott Bell, we actually went to school together. I've known him since we were about 10 or 11 years old. So like he's definitely my oldest friend in wrestling. And yeah, 100%. Because like I say, I can't thank him enough for how he dealt with that. And like how he's managed to carry, you know, 6'3", 250+ pound Anderson Daniels out, out of the ring on one leg. Like, but it is important. It is important, that that everybody in the ring is trained and safe. Because look, freak accidents happen, right? And that's what that was. That was a freak accident. But it's when there's injuries that are preventable due to like poor training, or attempting stuff you don't really know how to do, or as you say, like the referee's involvement in that as well. The best referees you don't see until you need them, and like I say, there's a lot of good refs around at the moment. Like we see James Greenwood a lot, he's great. Scott Bell, he's great. There's a lot of good referees, but yeah, they're super important to the match. You can't have a match without referee.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of referees, and one thing I ask them is, what's something fans will never understand? And they think fans all think that they're just there to count the 1, 2, 3, but they're not. They're obviously for the
No.
safety thing as well.
Yeah, and like just check if you're right. But like, I'm peeling back the curtain here a bit, but like you can call spots and stuff. You can say to the ref, like I've done it before. I got winded, like, oh, and I'm like, time to give me a minute. Like that one hurt. Time to give me a minute. Is a way of communication as well in the ring. I'll kind of peel back the curtain a bit there, but yeah.
Is it hard now? Obviously, now approaching single matches. And obviously tag patterns obviously recovering.
Yeah, so like I'm still like I have done singles matches before, obviously, but like now it's it's all I'm going to do, and B, there's a lot more high profile. I mean, bloody hell, I'm wrestling Billy Gunn in 2 weeks. That's going to be insane. But like, I feel like with us as a team, I just knew, we knew where we were all the time. We joked, we had our set menu of stuff that if we're, a promotion for the first time, this is what we're going to do. It was all very clear, and we had all those, spots, moves, stuff like that, whereas now it's like I'm kind of figuring it out on the job, really, myself. But to be honest, like, like I've been I've been really busy. I've got lots of really good stuff, and I think like I've had some like everyone, all the advice is valid, right? But I've had some like really contrasting advice of like, do you stick with what you're doing now, and like continue with like, I had advice of like, you should be the meat wagon Troy Ryan. But then like I had advice of like, well, that kind of is a constant reminder that you're half of what you were before, so I've really like, so I've got new gear. Like I feel like I've always been in good shape for a wrestler, but now I am in the best shape I've ever been in. I've really dialed in on the training's always been there, but I've really dialed in on the nutrition as well. So like, and the thing is like it's horrendous. Like it's awful. Like, if I could push a button and have him back tomorrow, I absolutely would do, like if I wave a magic wand and that leg break never happened, like I'd have him back in a heartbeat. That's not the case, but the thing is like I'm in control of the effort that I put in, the amount of training that I do, the sacrifices that I make outside the ring. Like I'm in control of that now. So like, yeah, it's going to be a difficult adjustment period, and like I say, I'm kind of learning on the job. But like I feel like I've got a really strong mentality for that sort of thing, and I've got some really cool stuff in the pipeline now, and like everything I've done so far this year has been quite well received. I've had some really positive feedback, so I'm just hoping to kind of build on that and crack on, really.
I mean, also the spotlight's obviously just on you yourself now as well, so I imagine that's a bit challenging.
Yeah, more bumps and more cardio. That's yeah. No wonder I've cut weight. Yeah, I got to do a full match now, haven't I? I can't just tag my mate in. But yeah, I think that's the thing, and it's like just having some of these matches, like I said, guys like Oberman, Teddy Ray, Rampage Brown, Brady Phillips, having those kind of matches and having, I always want I want feedback. I don't want to just be told, oh yeah, that was great, mate. Do you know what I mean? I want to improve all the time. And I am like massively my own worst critic as well. But I think that's a good thing, of like always wanting to be better. But, like I feel a lot more like confident in my own abilities now. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned feedback there. I mean, what's the best piece of feedback you've been given?
Cool. Oh, I actually, do you know what? I know this one. This one stuck with me. I can answer this one straight away. So Ashton Smith, again, shout out Ashton Smith. Ashton once told me, he was like, watch your own stuff back, honestly, as if it wasn't you. It's like, so just be really honest when you watch your own stuff back. So if you are watching something and you don't look good doing that, don't do it. Either get better or don't do it. It's like if you saw someone else do that on a show and it didn't look good, you'd be like, oh, it's rubbish that. But because a lot of people, it's like, because it's yourself, it's like, oh yeah, but because this, he was like, you just need to watch your own stuff back, honestly. And that is the best piece of advice I've been given.
Love it. So I'm just looking obviously at your career and stuff. I mean, you've ticked a lot of promotions obviously in the UK. Tidal, LWF, we spoke about, True Grit, TNT. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some incredible promotions. I mean, what's that like?
Yeah, so like I'm really grateful. Like there's a lot of really good promotions that are featuring me, which is really, really cool. Got some more stuff. I don't know if I can say, but so we left the country last year. We went to Denmark for Nordic Elite Wrestling, and it's not been announced yet, but I will be leaving the country again, so watch this space, which is really cool. But yeah, like I am like, I'm always ambitious and I want to do more, but I don't like the idea of if I don't work for X promotion, then it's a failure, because as you said there, all the promotions you've listed, plus you've got places like FutureShock, Atomic, Odyssey, I was there last week, Catch, there's a lot of promotions. I'm at Infinite next week as well. That's another really cool one in Liverpool.
Salford?
And yeah, Salford on Friday. Of course, I'm wrestling Simon Miller on Friday. Like honestly, like my calendar's it's great. It's a great problem to have, but it's like, off the top of my head, you can't, think of everyone. But like, yeah, and like I say, I'm really like, I am ambitious. There's more I would like to do, but I'm very, very grateful to everyone that chooses to, choose to book me, chooses to feature me, and I try and, give as much back as I can, be that in terms of like the quality of matches, stories, try to make promotional material and stuff like that. I think, I always try and give that back, but I'm very, very grateful for all those promotions.
Has anyone asked you for advice?
Yeah, I mean, I've taken quite a lot of training classes myself. Like, so I used to take the training at LWF for a while, taking training at FutureShock, sort of as and when's needed and stuff. So yeah, I mean, like, I get asked for advice quite a lot. I get asked for. It depends. Some of it's in the ring. What do I do about this? Like people are like, oh, is there a good hot tag you can, or have you got a formula for a face-to-face tag match or something like that? And then other people kind of ask you for advice on like a more practical wrestling career basis. So like, how'd you get booked? Or like, where do you recommend I train or something like that? So like, I've got no ego. I don't profess to be anyone, but like, I can only tell you kind of my lived experiences and what's worked for me. And I always really want to pass that on because there's a lot of like good guys coming up that, hopefully get these opportunities as well.
Absolutely. So let's obviously talk about the UK scene. I mean, obviously you've got to
Yeah.
travel to different promotions and stuff like that.
Mhm.
How would you describe the the UK scene in your own words?
Yeah, sure. So, like, I don't know, because then you get into the Brit Rest is dead and it wasn't what it was sort of thing, And like, look, so I came in 2018, so I don't know what things were like, sort of really pre, the whole NXT UK and stuff like that. But I think what I'd say is that there's a lot of very good wrestlers and a lot of very good wrestling. I think what I've learned though is I think there's also a lot of wrestling, and so for example, when we went to Denmark. I think there's 3, maybe 4 promotions in the whole country. But the crowd are mad for it, like they're, because I think because they don't get it as much, they're absolutely, mad for it. It was what an unbelievable experience that was. But I was saying to the guys that we wrestled, I was like, I think I've worked for more promotions this month in Manchester than exist in your country. So I think sometimes there's a lot of wrestling, and I think like what I think we can do a better job of as a scene as a whole is being accessible and being appealing to casual fans, potential new fans as well. So the way that I see wrestling is like that. For example, I don't know, like Atomics in Liverpool, like TNT aren't in competition with Atomic because they're running wrestling in the same town. TNT and Atomic are a team and they're in competition with a night in watching Netflix or a night going to the cinema. Like I kind of, everyone talks, oh, Big Daddy and giant haystacks and whatever and stuff. But like back then, wrestling was like, oh, we're going to the wrestling, So I think we've got a fantastic scene with a lot of really good wrestlers. But I really kind of want to see the standard of shows be like, this high so that if like dad who's got his he's good, he's going to take his little lad to the wrestling or something like that, turns up, and this is top tier stuff, So there's a great range, like I wrestled for Butlins last year, which is obviously very family focused. And then you've got like on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the DOA tournament at TNT, which I will never be in, by the way, but I understand that there's a market for that. So I think there's a fantastic spectrum in the UK, but I think we need to do a good job of upholding high standards and making it accessible for people. So like, for example, that Win show was in Middlesbrough. I think that's the one you were at, right?
Yep.
Yeah, what a great crowd. First time there, like absolutely packed. But that's what it was. It was like there's underlying stories throughout for the regulars, but also if that was your first ever wrestling show, which for a lot of people there it was, because it was the first time they'd ran that town. It's not like gatekeepery. Oh, you don't understand what happened at the show last month, therefore the show isn't for you. So I thought they did a fantastic job. Well, it must have done a good job because they're coming back. But yeah, I think that's kind of my thoughts on wrestling as a whole, if that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, if I remember rightly, you're on the next one in March.
Yes, I am. Yeah, because I had to. I missed the Rumble, but I'm there twice in March actually. One's the 28th, I believe, and the other one's a bit earlier. And like I'll have to check my schedule for that. But you might have the dates.
Are you back in the Middlesbrough one?
I am. Yeah. So it is. I've got here. Oh wait, no, sorry, I tell a lie. The 28th and then the 4th of April is the other one. So I knew it was the 4th. I thought it was the 4th of March for some reason. But yes, I'll be back for the next two at Win.
I will be there as well, by the way. Just going to say that.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Yeah, no.
I mean, I've traveled 2.5 hours to go to them as well.
Yeah, they're good, aren't they? They're really good shows.
Yeah, it's because obviously I've talked to Benji, Stevie, Aaron, Joe, and obviously interviewed a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, Win's great, Joe. I mean, I can't obviously praise it enough.
Yeah, no, it's a really good place to be. I'm good mates with Shreddy as well. And I think he's brilliant. He's like seeing him come out of those shows, all the kids chanting "Ready, Shreddy, go!" Yeah, what a fella.
Absolutely, and stuff like that. So, how does somebody like a Troy Ryan get prepared for a match?
Do you mean physically or mentally or
both?
Both. Yeah, sure. So I always joke, that scene in Avengers where the Hulk's like, "That's the secret. I'm always angry." It's like, that's my secret. I'm just always sore. Do you know what I mean? Nothing hurts anymore because everything hurts all the time. So if you go to the gym 5 days a week and wrestling 2 or 3 times a week, it's fine. You just sort of get used to it, really. But yeah, I think like physically as well. Like I'm really quite organized. So with show day, I'll always have my meal prep. I'll always be pre-prepared and stuff like that. So I always try to be as organized as I can. And then I think mentally as well is like understanding what crowd is there and what do they want to see. So like I said, when I'm at Catch and I did my Super Frankensteiner and stuff, that was cool. It's quite an indie, more adult focused crowd at Catch, and that's the kind of place where that's well received. But if I'm doing a very family friendly crowd where they're there to be entertained, you want to focus a lot more on the crowd engagement and accessible wrestling and making sure that everyone's enjoying themselves, really. So like basically it's just, and that's part of the puzzle, right? That's what's quite fun, of like understanding what kind of crowds in attendance and how can we as a team, because wrestling is a team sport, like entertain them in the best way possible.
It's like taking fans on a journey, I always say.
Yeah, exactly. And and you being led by them as well. Like if you're, I don't know, doing a bit of technical wrestling, everyone's loving it. It's like, let's carry on. But if they're kind of sat on their hands or you see someone scrolling on the phone, it's like, right, we better get to something else then,
You don't have to name promotion, but have you ever witnessed a dead crowd?
Oh yeah, I've been part of, yeah, 100%. I've died a death in front of crowds. Yeah, I'm not too proud to admit that, but yeah, I think but kind of go back to the previous point. A lot of the time, it's because they don't understand what people want to see. So I've seen like, "What lads? Why are you taking these bumps? Tombstones and power bombs and Canadian destroyers," and people just say, like, but it's not the right place to do it, right? And at the same time, like, I've seen, people die a death trying to do crowd interaction where people just want to see you get to it, to be honest. And I've done it myself, like I think in the early days, everyone's kind of like, "Well, I've got to do this move, I've got to do this move, I've got to do this move," and stuff. But then like I learned very quickly that that's not the way to do things. And it's about, as I say, working as a collective to entertain people. But yeah, 100%. I'm not too proud to admit that I have died to death in front of some crowds before.
Like,
Oh, sorry, I've lost you there.
sorry, can you still hear us?
I can now. Yeah, sorry, I lost you there.
That's fine. Yeah. So, is it hard now being a wrestling fan now that you're involved in wrestling?
Yeah, sometimes it does kind of ruin the magic a little bit of like when you watching, if I'm watching WrestleMania or something, I was like, I know what's coming, like, or like sometimes like I really try to like, if I'm in attendance at a wrestling show, this is another slight bugbear of mine as well. Of like, if you are a wrestler going to watch a wrestling show, be a fan. Don't think you're too cool to start a chant or clap or something like that. Like if you're gonna go and enjoy it in the spirit that it's meant to be, rather than like, oh, I'm too cool for school because I'm a wrestler as well. But yeah, if I'm watching like WWE or AEW or something like that, like it is hard to turn off the analysis. Every now and again, I'm like, oh, I'll nick that or I'll do something similar to that, But yeah, when you kind of understand how like match structure works and stuff like that, it is difficult to just kind of immerse yourself in it for what it is.
So, when it comes to the fan base, what's something they'll never understand when it comes to wrestling?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a difficult one because I'm very much a believer in like, you know, like wrestler. Oh, you're a fan. I'm a wrestler. I hate that sort of thing. Like because if there's no fans, none of us have any place to wrestle. But I think things that they might not understand is if you've never been in the ring before, the physicality of it is a lot. And not I don't just mean like the strikes and the moves and stuff like that, but how tiring it is. Like the fitness element of it is incredibly difficult because there's okay, cool, there's bits where you're not doing as much, but it's the constant, you have to be showing out to a crowd. You've got to be, sort of selling. There's a lot that goes on, and just the amount that goes on in your brain, and probably how little of it is, because you always get I feel like I need like an FAQ sheet for like new people I meet. Of, oh, you're a wrestler, So is it all rehearsed? Is it fake? Is it real? Is it whatever? And like how little of it is rehearsed. Like I've literally done like a triple day where I've wrestled at 3 different promotions in the same day. And like the last one, I was like, right, cool. It's still in my gear with joggers and a top on, and then I've got 5 minutes till our music hits, so that none of this is like how little is like pre-rehearsed sort of thing. I think maybe fans would have a hard time wrapping their heads around.
How did you cope doing 3 shows in one day?
Yeah, it was a lot. That was a lot, but we managed. Yeah, so it was like afternoon one, and then an evening one on first, and an evening one in the main. So yeah, it was yeah, a lot of traveling, but I never ever want to do that again. Doubles, don't mind them; they're all right. But yeah, 3 in a day, never again.
I can just imagine you go around and just hit the pillar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm literally like on speakerphone in the car of like, cool, right? So when we get there, this is what we'll do. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Dear. So for you, obviously, what's the most rewarding thing when it comes to wrestling?
It does sound a little bit cheesy, but it is literally the reactions. It's that idea of it was Joey Hayes who said this to me, and it was the first time that we won the tag belts at FutureShock, and we were the baby faces, models were the heels, and the reaction we got was absolutely unbelievable. And we got to the back, and Joey went, "Did you hear the pop we got?" As in all 4 of us. So this is something whenever I'm training, I try to instill in people that, like I say, that wrestling is a team sport, and it does sound dead corny, but it is knowing that we've done something and people have enjoyed that. They want to come back, they want to pay money to come and see it and stuff. But yeah, it's just that idea that like if I'm a heel in a match, I want the babyface to get the biggest cheers possible. I don't want to like go, well, actually, I need to get cheered because that's not my job. Do you know what I mean? So I think like, yeah, the most rewarding thing is the people that are paid to see it enjoying it, basically.
Absolutely. So a few little more questions may obviously begin to wind down and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You've obviously, like I said, you've ticked obviously loads of promotions up. Is there any promotions you want to get to?
Like I say, look, I don't like to be like, oh, if I never wrestle here, then I regard myself a failure, you know. So I think now is like I'm very, very happy with what I have. I think I work for some fantastic promotions, you know, really, really grateful for those. Anything now, I just want to sort of like step up. And like I say, you know, hopefully going a little bit further afield as well. This year, going back to Europe will be cool. And some other like wrestling scenes, like you know, obviously I wrestle quite a few of the same guys and that and they're great, you know, but like I think like you get like the Northwest scene and you get like the down south scene and stuff. Like we wrestled the Blockbusters last year. It was unbelievable. Like they are so talented. Like probably the best two wrestlers we've ever, you know, we've really been in the ring with. Like they're fantastic, but like you know they're based all the way down south, so they're not guys you get to see often. You know, we've done quite a lot in Scotland as well. Like again, Casino Brutal were another fantastic team that we wrestled up there. But yeah, you know, so whether it's, I think it's maybe like experiencing like other scenes and stuff like that of like, okay, cool. Well, these aren't guys that I train with and I see regularly on shows. So, you know, how can we put something together? So like, rather than promotions specifically of I need to wrestle here, you know, I think I'd like to just like experience like wrestling new people and in different scenes, I think.
I've got to throw the question. What about who would
Cool.
you want to get in the ring with?
Who, yeah, cool. That I've not wrestled before.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think off the top of my head, someone that I think is good, really good. I would really quite like to wrestle Nico Angelo. I think like especially he's got huge now as well. Like used to be like God, I was twice the size of him, and now he's bigger than me, you know. But I think he's an exceptional wrestler. I think he's really, really good. So yeah, if I had to pick off the top of my head, it'd probably be Nico.
Okay, awesome. As we also begin to wind down, mate, you see the little QR code above your head?
Yeah.
If people scan that, that will take them obviously to your Instagram so they can go and support you and stuff like that. How's
Oh,
that?
brilliant. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yes. Yeah, that's
Is there
brilliant.
anything obviously you'd like to plug, mate?
Yeah, well, I guess so. Yeah, just on my socials. So I'm in my 30s. I don't have TikTok, but Instagram, Twitter is just Troy Ryan PW. We do have our last ever shirt on sale at the moment. So I'm not sure when this is going to go out, but it'll be up. The link will be up for like the next couple of weeks. Our brand new and final ever Meat Wagon Forever shirts. So if you want to pick up one of those, I'll stick a link to that as well. But yeah, other than that, just the socials. But yeah, thank you very much, mate.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got loads of shows obviously coming up. Do you know what I mean? GWK, Wrestling in Newcastle, we talked
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's so much. I mean, you're going to be busy, man. Let's be honest.
I am. Yeah, I am going to be busy. I was going to say like the Salford this Friday, but that's sold out, so you can't come. Sorry. Better luck next time. But yeah, there's some really good ones coming up. Like you say, GWK was great. You know, for Love of Wrestling, that is the big one. Like it sounds daft, but like I had Billy Gunn's action figure as a kid, and I'm gonna have a match with him. Like, how cool is that? So like, yeah, there's still tickets for that one. But yeah, you know, we keep on going. Happy with how things are, and yeah.
Absolutely. So, I need one final thing from you, mate. Everyone I interview gets to do the outro for this show. So, you can say anything you want, you can promote anything you want, and we'll end the stream. Troy, take it away.
Thank you very much. So, thank you very much. I have been the super athlete Troy Ryan. You've been watching Magic of Wrestling, and I'll see you later.
Thanks for watching, guys.